I really don't care what happens to her at all. I don't care. Like everybody they tiptoe around with this social media, but what y'all don't get is that it be real consequence for y'all little flexes, y'all quick flexes for $300 that you need. It be consequences.
It was supposed to be a typical afternoon, but what happened outside their home would shake their fans to the core. Teyana Taylor and Shumpert, two names that had become synonymous with love, loyalty, and family, were caught in a fierce argument, one that would eventually spill out into the public eye. The argument wasn't over something trivial. It wasn't about a missed anniversary or a forgotten date. No, this time, the disagreement was much more significant: parenting. And it wasn't just any parenting debate, it was about the future of their daughter. How they raised her, what rules they should set, and what kind of values they wanted to instill. What should have been a calm, private conversation turned into a heated argument that, within moments, captured the attention of everyone around them. The source of the argument? A seemingly small issue about boundaries and parenting methods. But for Teyana and Iman, the tension that had been building up for years suddenly boiled over. The disagreement wasn't just about one rule. It was about how they saw the world, how they raised their child, and how they viewed each other's role in that process. Their daughter, innocent and caught in the middle, became a silent witness to their battle. As they exchanged words, voices raised, their daughter sat quietly, her confusion and hurt clear on her face. She wasn't old enough to understand the weight of the argument, but she could sense the tension, the energy of a relationship fraying at the seams. The argument escalated quickly, and before long, fans on social media were seeing clips of it. What should have been a private family matter was now out in the open. Tweets, Instagram posts, and TikTok reactions flooded social media, with every side of the debate being discussed. Who's right in this parenting argument? Fans asked. Some supported Teyana's laid-back approach to raising their child, while others believed Iman's protective instincts were more valid in such a volatile world. But no one could ignore the look on their daughter's face, the quiet pain in her eyes, the silent witness to the cracks in her parents' seemingly perfect relationship. Teyana and Iman had always been a couple that people admired. They were the perfect example of love amidst fame, raising a child, managing careers, and still making time for each other. On social media, they posted sweet photos, funny videos, and loving tributes to one another. But like any couple, they weren't immune to the pressures of both the public eye and the everyday struggles of a family. For years, there were rumors, whispers about trust issues, disagreements, and miscommunications. People noticed moments of tension, gaps in their public appearances, and the occasional cryptic post from Teyana. But still, they kept going. They kept their public image intact, showing the world that love could thrive despite obstacles. But behind closed doors, the pressure had started to mount. Teyana's parenting style was much more relaxed and free-spirited, encouraging their daughter to express herself without too many restrictions. She believed that the world would impose enough rules on their child as she grew older, and the most important thing was letting her explore, learn, and grow. Iman, on the other hand, had always been more protective. As a father, he wanted to shield their daughter from the harsh realities of the world, believing that structure and discipline were the keys to a happy, successful life. The tension between these two perspectives had always simmered beneath the surface. While they agreed on some things, their parenting styles were polar opposites, and neither was willing to compromise. And so, the argument erupted. Iman's emotions flared, and Teyana's patience wore thin. They had always found ways to work through their differences, but this time felt different. This time, their daughter was caught in the middle, and it was impossible to ignore that fact. The families of both Iman and Teyana were soon pulled into the drama. Iman's relatives stood by his side, saying he was right to protect his family and provide structure for their child. They argued that Teyana's approach was too lenient, too unstructured. Teyana's family, on the other hand, defended her more relaxed parenting style, saying that Iman was overbearing and needed to trust Teyana more. Siblings, parents, and cousins from both sides weighed in on the issue. "Why can't you just agree on something?" one of Teyana's relatives reportedly said, frustrated by the ongoing tension. Meanwhile, Iman's family argued that Teyana needed to stop being so permissive, especially when it came to their daughter's future. The debate became bigger than just the couple. It became a family-wide struggle with no easy resolution. For Teyana, a woman who had always been strong-willed and fiercely independent, this battle was far more than a simple disagreement about parenting. It was about control. Who controlled the narrative, who had the final say in how their daughter would be raised, and perhaps more personally, who controlled the course of their relationship. Teyana, with her free-spirited nature, had always sought to allow her daughter the freedom to grow up with the understanding that she had the power to make her own choices. In her eyes, a parent's job was to guide, not dominate, and to let her child experience life with room to breathe. Iman, on the other hand, viewed the situation through a lens of safety and protection. His protective instincts ran deep, and for him, every rule, every decision, felt like an act of love. He wasn't just making decisions for their daughter, he was shielding her from a world that he perceived as increasingly dangerous. Every moment spent outside his protective grasp was a moment where he feared harm could come to her, and he saw his actions as necessary to ensure her future security. It wasn't just about controlling the narrative for him. It was about preparing their daughter to face the world as someone who could handle its harshness. But as the disagreement unfolded, it became apparent that this wasn't simply about how to raise their daughter. It was about much more. It was about their future together as parents, their identities, and what they valued most in life. Teyana's approach was modern, flexible, and rooted in a belief that their daughter should be able to express herself freely, while Iman's stance was more traditional, grounded in the desire to protect and shelter her from the outside world. What started as a conversation about boundaries and rules quickly morphed into a clash of values, with both parents feeling they were fighting for what was best for their child, albeit in very different ways. As the argument continued, it didn't just remain confined to the two of them. The video of the dispute soon found its way to the public, and what had been a private argument in their home quickly became a viral spectacle. Social media exploded with reactions. Fans on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok picked sides, dissecting every word, every gesture, and even the smallest nuances in body language. Some fans rallied behind Teyana, praising her for her progressive, modern approach to parenting. They saw her as someone who trusted her daughter to make her own choices and valued flexibility over rigidity. Others sided with Iman, arguing that his protective instincts were not only justified but necessary in a world that could be dangerous and unforgiving, especially for a child of celebrity. The debate raged for days, each new post only adding fuel to the fire. Among the posts, many fans expressed deep sympathy for their daughter, who had no say in the matter but was forced to witness the argument unfold. Some pointed out how children of celebrity couples are often caught in the middle of public disputes, with no choice but to endure the fallout. "This isn't about them," one fan tweeted. "It's about the child. She deserves peace, not to be caught in the middle of their drama." The focus, it seemed, had shifted from the parents' differing views on parenting to the toll that this kind of public spectacle took on an innocent child. People began questioning whether it was fair to involve their daughter in such a personal conflict, knowing that it would inevitably affect her, emotionally and psychologically, well beyond the screen. And then, just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any more intense, came the pivotal moment, the one that shifted the entire narrative. A second video emerged, and this time, it wasn't just about the parents' dispute. In this clip, their daughter was visibly upset, her tiny face scrunched in confusion and distress after hearing the argument between her parents. She stood there, caught between the two people she loved, trying to process what had just happened. The video was heartbreaking. You could see her innocence shattered in real time as she witnessed the people she trusted most, the people who were supposed to protect her, tear each other apart. Teyana, instantly aware of the emotional impact, rushed over to comfort her daughter. She pulled her close, wrapping her in an embrace, but the damage had already been done. The damage was visible in the little girl's tear-streaked face, in the way she looked at her mother as if seeking answers she couldn't understand. In that brief moment, it became painfully clear, this wasn't just an argument. This was something far more damaging. It wasn't just about who was right or wrong, it was about the emotional well-being of their daughter, who was now forever marked by this moment. In the aftermath, fans were left grappling with their emotions. What had started as a public argument about parenting had evolved into a larger commentary on the complexities of love, family, and the responsibility that comes with living life in the spotlight. It wasn't just about Teyana and Iman anymore. It was about the well-being of their daughter and the price of fame. No one could deny the emotional toll it had taken, not just on the parents but on the innocent child who had been thrust into the center of a very public storm. The video had turned the argument into something much bigger, forcing everyone to reconsider the consequences of airing their personal grievances for the world to see. Fans were outraged. Some called it a breach of privacy, others saw it as a wake-up call. This was no longer just a couple's disagreement. It was a public spectacle, and their daughter's well-being was now at risk. The pressure on Teyana and Iman grew stronger than ever. How could they continue to raise their child in a world that was watching their every move? The cliffhanger? Both Teyana and Iman remained silent after the video leaked. Neither made a public statement, and fans were left hanging, wondering what would come next. Would they be able to repair their relationship? Would they be able to come to a compromise on parenting? Or was this the beginning of the end for them as a couple? The silence from both sides left fans on edge, wondering if the next revelation would be the final nail in the coffin for their relationship. So, what do you think? Was Iman's protective stance justified? Or should Teyana have had more of a say in how to raise their daughter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're reading every one. Don't forget to hit like if the argument shocked you as much as it shocked us. And subscribe now, because this story is far from over. The next twist could change everything. And when it does, you won't want to miss it.